I like from time to time to be able to talk to some of the people who are part of our Wesley Mission family a little bit about faith and work and the things that they do week by week that help our work to progress and who have living faith that speaks very clearly of that. So I'm going to begin with one. As soon as she starts speaking, you'll realize she's not from round here originally. So tell us, Christine Adams, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone, and it's kia ora, so you know exactly where I'm from. So I came to Australia with my husband, who's here, my wonderful husband, for a couple of weeks' holiday 13 years ago, almost 13 years ago.
And you stayed.
And stayed.
Tell me then, how did you get to be at Wesley Mission?
Got to be at Wesley Mission. I was actually volunteering at various places. Well, my husband did all of the touristy things, but I was enjoying helping people because it's so different in Australia compared to New Zealand. A lot more nations here, and it was just fascinating. As a social worker, I could get in there and do some things. Mm-hmm. Began volunteering at Bernardo's in Redfern.
Mm. But you came and did some work at Wesley Mission, or did you apply for a job here?
Yeah, I applied for a job, yeah.
And once you got it, you stuck?
Yes.
That's great. Tell us a little bit in a moment about faith and whether... Okay. Jonathan, what about your story?
Born and bred in Sydney. Not sure if you can tell by my accent. Mum and dad are from Indonesia. Had the privilege of going to school here and in university. Found myself working in financial services for about 8 years. That was interesting. And then had the opportunity and blessing to come to Wesley Mission about 8 years ago as well.
And so for both of you, in a way, let's start with you. You have a gift that in your terms is described as social work, but it's compassionate care towards people. And you were able to use your Christian faith in those areas.
Definitely, yes. And certainly my Christian faith informed me because I love people. And so to get in amongst people that were in need, I was at Villawood helping there and just around and about helping, and it was fascinating and I loved it.
So you're engaged then in doing these things. So is it very challenging for somebody who's done social work in another setting to do it in a Christian setting?
No, definitely not. I'd come from kaupapa Māori in New Zealand, so I worked with Indigenous New Zealanders. And we had opportunity there very much so to talk about our faith and to be who we are. We had to be really authentic. And yes, so that was something that I was accustomed to being able to do. But I loved when I read the mission statement of Wesley Mission, and I thought, this is for me. Lord, give me this job.
And I know because Carol has a close relationship with you, we're often bringing things to you to help people who don't have clothes or things. Tell us a bit about that work with the homeless.
Yes, so working with the homeless, we work with families. So often we've got families, they can have anything from one child up to 11 or 12 children. And so if you become homeless due to a range of things, it can be relationships, it can be financial, it can be escaping violence, all those things that happen. Often the families leave with very little clothing, very little in the way of blankets and things. And quickly into the time that I started at Wesley, I realised that Carol and the ladies' ministry in here in Pitt Street was amazing because we were getting blankets, we were getting things that were just made with love, donated with love, and wow, that makes such a difference in going and buying something in a little $2 shop.
Now, if I listen to that story and then I say to you, you do finance, it's not quite as easy to make that feel as exciting. So tell us a little bit how that works out for you in terms of Christian faith.
Sure. I just want to say the work you guys do is amazing, so thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan.
I'm from a finance background, but I don't technically do finance anymore. So we have an area at Wesley Mission called Business Services. And what we essentially do is to deliver kind of projects across working the organization to build capacity and capability. So we're we're doing a whole bunch of stuff to improve how we do things, rolling out new programs and services for people in need, working with our property and IT departments to kind of improve how our workforce are using their tools and better equipped to do things.
Now, I know Dad was a pastor, so you come from a Christian context. When did faith become real for you?
I think faith has always been very real to me, Keith. Having the privilege of growing up in a Christian household has been an absolute blessing. And so I haven't really known anything else but church.
But there were times when it became more alive than others. Is that true?
Oh, yeah, it is true. I go to a church in Croydon Park. It's about 150 people. And I think going through probably university particularly, just some of those questions in life that you go through, looking for direction and things like that, and just putting your faith in God, kind of really was giving me some defining moments when I was looking for them.
One of the things I like to do is to say to people, whatever area of work, we've got all these staff, 2,000 odd people working here each out of the work of Wesley Mission each day, that what you've described to us is connected to what you're doing. In other words, if you didn't do what you were doing, we might not be able to do the work with the homeless and with people in trouble. Do you see that, or is it one of the great blessings of doing the work?
Oh, absolutely. I think the Bible is pretty clear that we're all part of the one body of Christ, and it doesn't really matter the role that we play as long as we acknowledge and realize that we have a role to play. And I think we really see that, and we're all kind of little cogs in the wheel that all are part of God's story. Right?
Tell us a story of, right off the top of the head, of a story of a blessing that you've seen in some way.
Okay. A blessing that we saw very recently was a family that was able to come down. So I work on the Central Coast, at Fairfield, Liverpool, Parramatta, Hollywood Hills, across a whole range of places, coordinating homelessness services, and love to do it. But we actually moved a family down because they needed to move out of the Central Coast down to the Cartwright area, and Ashcroft, beg your pardon, I'm getting my places muddled up. And they were able to come down. Now, they left most of what they had in the Gosford area due to a set of circumstances and financial issues, and had to start again, all over again, down in the Ashcroft, or that's Liverpool. And we were able to get, through networking with other services, so we've got Anglicare, we've got Vinnie's, we've got Wesley, we've got everyone helping to get this family settled. A couple with 3 children who just needed everything, as well as being able to feel that they had teenagers, so they were able to get into the youth group in the area, and also integrate well into the local primary school. The thing being that they had the support of Wesley in the background, and we were able to connect them with financial services, with the whole range of being able to feel good about putting your children into school when they're your babies, and things like that we have in a family life, coming all the way. It seemed a long way for them to come all the way down from Central Coast and settle into the Ashcroft area. Did it well. And they moved. Actually, they only stayed with us in our transitional housing for about 9 months before they moved out into their own private rental. And free. That's the amazing thing, is to be free, and to know that you actually do have those supports behind you if you need them, but you can actually move forward.
Look, thanks for sharing something of what you do. And one of the things I hope to do by these kind of interviews is for us to honour you for what you do. Why don't we just express our thanks for this marvellous work that both of them are involved in day by day? Thank you so much.